Hi there, teachers and tutors. So whether you are just starting out in tutoring or you've been tutoring for a while, you know that you probably need a tutoring policy. It's true, and there are many videos on YouTube that will show you how to make a tutoring policy, but this is the only video that's going to show you how to make the policy actually work. Because it's one thing to make the policy, but it's another thing to actually make it work for you so that it benefits your business and builds relationships, positive relationships with your students and families. So I'm glad you decided to watch this video because that's what this is all about. Who am I to tell you about tutoring policies? My name is Kelly, and I am the host of this YouTube channel and the Tutoring Tips for Teachers Facebook group. I was a classroom teacher for 20 years, and then I left the classroom to work on my tutoring business, and that was my dream come true. I dreamed of leaving the classroom for a long time, and my mission is to help you to make your tutoring dreams come true as well. So check out the free resources in the description box below because there's lots there to help you get started. And I would love it if you book a call with me. It's free, and I would love to chat with you about your tutoring business and see if I can give you a few tips to get you on your way to a successful tutoring side hustle. All right, let's get into it with the policies. In this video, I am going to give you 3 tips about a tutoring policy and how to, not how to make it, but how to make it work for you. Are you ready? Here we go. Number 1, so here's my take on the tutoring policy. It's not something that is written in stone and a really important document that everyone must adhere to, like, super strict rules or anything like that. I see the tutoring policy between myself and my families as more like a handshake agreement. Like we're trusting each other that we're going to live up to the expectations that we have of each other. And that's sort of what the policy is all about. Your policy is actually just as much to benefit your parents as it is to benefit you. Because when you create a tutoring policy and share it with your parents, you're letting your parents know what you expect of them so that they can get the most out of your service. And they're really going to appreciate that. So your tutoring policy is really about setting the expectations that you have of the parents and of your students, of course, and of your families, and also letting them know what they can expect from you. So parents, when they sign their kids up for tutoring or any activity like soccer, ballet, whatever it is, they want to know what to expect. They want to know what happens if they can't make it to the lesson. How do they pay you? What are they allowed to bring food into the lesson? Are they allowed to be, like, late to the Zoom call? What do they do if they can't find their Zoom link? They wanna know all of these things. They have questions, right? And if you lay all of this out in your policy from the beginning and answer all of those questions for them, or as many of them as you can, because things are gonna come up that you won't think of, then you'll add it to your policy after, but if you can answer as many questions as they may have as you can in your policy and address as many issues that may come up as you can, then they're going to see that you're really organized, that you've really put some time and care and thought into your tutoring service and into the well-being of your students and families. And they're going to see that you are someone who likes to plan ahead, and that's a really good quality in a teacher, isn't it? Being organized, planning ahead, being thoughtful and careful. These are this is what everyone wants from a teacher and from a tutor. So parents are going to be like, "Wow, this is great. I feel so much like I'm in good hands with this person. I feel like this tutor is really going to take good care of my child and of my family, and I feel like I've really made the right choice." So a policy kind of sets you up as the leader in your business, and you're taking care of your families and your students just like how you take care of the kids in your classroom and you're the leader in your classroom. A policy sets you up like that, and it shows them that you have really thought of everything and you've made a plan for it and you really care about the outcome for them. A lot of times when people talk about tutoring policies, they talk about it from the perspective of the tutor and how it protects you and it protects your time, make sure you get paid. And yes, it does all of that. But I don't think we can underestimate the importance of how important the policy is to the families who are signing up for your tutoring service as well. So keep that in mind when you're creating your policy and when you're sharing it with your families and implementing it. This is not just for you, it's for your families as well. This is an agreement that goes both ways. Okay, so how do you make your policy actually work? Because it's one thing, like I said, to write the policy, share it with your parents, but implementing it is a whole other story. And if you're always just kind of like, well, my policy says this and my policy says that, and like, you know, enforcing all of these really strict rules, that's not going to set you up for a good relationship with your parents. So what you need to do when you write your policy is you need to make sure that it's fair and realistic for you and for your families. And you need to make sure that you've set everything up in your business so that it's so easy for the parents to actually follow the policy that it just sort of comes naturally to them, that it would be hard for them to even not follow it. So you want to make sure that you make it easy for them. And I'll give you an example of payments. This is a pretty good example, I think, that would apply to a lot of tutors. So we have to be very clear about how we accept payments. And I know a lot of tutors are like, kind of nervous about this because it's awkward taking money for your services, especially in the beginning. It's like, oh, I feel so bad. I'm making them pay. I feel like that still. I still have to fight those feelings, believe me. But understand this from the parent's perspective, okay? The parent wants to pay you. They do. They don't want to like steal your services and get this for free. They want to pay you. That's why they hired you. But they need to know how to pay you and when to pay you and when you expect the payment and how you expect the payment. They need to know all of this stuff. And if they don't know it, it makes it really hard for them to pay you. So you need to tell them very clearly in the beginning, this is when payment is due, and this is how I expect to be paid, whether it is by automatically off the credit card through Tutorbird, which is probably the easiest way of doing things, setting them up for auto pay in Tutorbird, or whether they're paying you with PayPal, or whether they're paying you with cash, or whether they're paying you with a bank transfer. However you're doing it, you need to be very clear that that is how you accept the payment so that the parent knows how to pay you. Because it's not like you're at a store where somebody can just like walk up to the cash register and here's the money or here's my credit card, tap, pay and go. They don't, it's not as obvious as that, right? So you need to really spell it out for them and let them know this is how you're going to pay and this is when you're going to pay, and then make sure all of those systems are set up so that the parent can easily make the payment. So for example, you're going to have to send them an invoice or an email or something to tell them when it is time to pay and how much they need to pay you. Don't expect them to just keep track of it on their own and remember on their own. That's our job as a tutor, as a service provider. That's our job to keep track of it. We need to make things as easy for them as possible. So make sure that you are doing that within your policy for payments, for cancellations, for everything in your policy, student behavior, whether they're allowed to bring toys to the class or snacks or whatever it is, make sure everything in your policy is easy for the parents to follow. And how you're going to do this is you're going to read the policy as if you were the parent. So imagine that you are the parent. Is this going to be easy for me to follow? Will I understand this? Will I know when to pay, how to pay? Will I have questions about anything? And if so, then you need to add that into your policy, or you need to change your systems a little bit to make things easier for the parents to follow. So you're going to think about following the policy from the parent perspective, and you're going to set up everything in your business so that is very clear and very easy for them to live up to the expectations of your tutoring policy. And if it is, then your policy is going to run like clockwork. It's going to be, you're probably never even going to have to mention it again. It's just going to work on its own. But if there's something there that's not easy for them to do, or not quite, maybe not quite fair for them, or somehow not easy for them to follow, then you may run into some problems. And if you do, then you need to look, is there something I need to change in my policy, or is there something I need to change in my business as a whole or in one of the systems within my business to make it easier for people to live up to the policy expectations. So make it easy for your parents, make everything as easy for them as possible, and they will love you for it and refer you and think you're the best tutor ever because they want people to make their lives easier, right? We don't want to hire someone to make our life more difficult. We want to hire someone who's going to make our life easier. So let the policy guide you in that. How can you make things easier for the parents? And how can you make things really just simple and flow smoothly? The policy is a great tool to be your guide in letting your business just flow smoothly and easily for you, for your families, and for everyone. Okay, tip number 3. This is the top secret of the tutoring policy, and the secret is this. The tutoring policy can be something that allows you to build an incredible relationship with your students and families so that they like really, really love you and they think you're the most wonderful tutor ever and they're recommending you to all of their friends and they think you're just fabulous. It can be that a tool that helps you do that, or it can work in the opposite direction and create friction between you and your families and your students, and then creates bad feelings. And when there's bad feelings, then they start to not like you so much. And then if they don't like you so much, they're not going to refer you. In fact, they might do the opposite, and we don't want that. And you're not going to be able to build a really strong reputation that, especially if you're a local tutor, is something that you really need. So we want to have good feelings, always good feelings with our parents and families. Yes, stuff is going to come up, stuff is going to go wrong, but we want to be able to fix it in a way that makes everybody feel good. And that is what your policy should do for you. Now, there's going to be times when you'll have to make exceptions to the rules where, you'll have to like say, well, I know that, I know usually my policy says this, but this time I'm going to let it go. There's going to be times when you have to do that just to keep good relationships with your parents and families. And there's going to be times that it's really worth it to do that because it's going to go a long way toward building a positive relationship, building a positive reputation as a tutor. Let me give you a little scenario, and I'll just tell you, spoiler alert, I'm not going to give you the answer to this question. You'll have to think about it for yourself. Okay, here's the scenario, which will end with a question. Imagine this. Imagine you have a family and they're your best family. They've been with you for a long time. They show up to every single lesson. They always pay on time. They refer you to their friends. They leave you a Google review that's 5 stars. And they're just like the most amazing family, and you have such a good relationship with them. Okay, let's say you're tutoring the student online from this amazing family one day. You log in for your lesson at the right time. They're not there. You wait 5 minutes, they don't show up. You try to call them, they don't pick up the phone. You wait 10 minutes, try to call them again, no one's picking up the phone. 15 minutes go by, the student doesn't show up. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, the lesson's over, and you've been no-showed. Oh my gosh, that's the worst. That's the worst feeling for a tutor, right? What has happened? This beautiful family that you love working with, they're your best family, they no-showed you. Oh my goodness, what are you gonna do? So your policy says that if a student no-shows to a lesson, that they'll still be charged the full price. But the next day, the family calls you and they say, I'm so sorry we missed a lesson. Grandma fell down. She broke her hip. We had to rush her to the hospital right before the lesson. We didn't have time to call you. It was a big emergency in our house. We are so, so sorry. We will never do that again. What are you going to do? Are you going to charge them for the lesson? Are you going to offer them a makeup class? Are you going to just credit them to the next month and say, you know what, don't worry about it. You are such a great family and I love working with you and I'm so sorry to hear about grandma. I hope she gets better soon. Don't worry, we'll make this lesson up. We'll credit it. Or are you going to say, you know what, I'm so sorry to hear about grandma, but unfortunately my policy says that I need to charge you for the lesson because you didn't show up. What are you going to do? I'm going to leave that thought with you and think about this. What is going to build the best relationship with that family moving forward? You already have a good relationship with them. What's going to take it to the next level? What is going to maintain that super good relationship with that family? What are you going to do? It's up to you. How would you use your policy in that case? There's a little something to think about. Some homework for you to take home. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you got some tips, maybe some new tips that you had never really thought about before, or that no one has ever really talked about before, that have to do with tutoring policies and how to implement them and how to let them be a tool that really helps your business, helps you build a really good reputation with your families, and helps your business to grow and flourish and thrive. So if you are using a tutoring policy and you have any questions about it, then please leave them in the comments, and I would love to answer your questions if I can and see what's going on there. And if you would like to talk tutoring with me, because I would love to talk tutoring with you, with all the wonderful people who watch this YouTube channel, all the wonderful people in the Tutoring Tips for Teachers Facebook group. I love to talk to all of you about your tutoring business because I love to talk about tutoring. Call me a tutoring nerd, right? But I'd love to hear about your businesses. So book a call because I would love to chat with you. It's free and we can have a quick chat about your business and see what's going on. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.